Well, let me explain to you why I think crypto prices have bottomed. First of all, crypto is acting like there's a crypto winter because gold's up 61% year to date, S&P's up almost 20%, and you can see Bitcoin and Ethereum actually are negative year to date. And I really like this article by Jeff Dorman at Arca, who said, "The selling that nobody can explain." I think many people can say why they think crypto prices have fallen, but nobody really understands why. But here's what I just want to point out. This is Bitcoin's year-to-date performance, and Bitcoin was having a good year until October 10th. Now, after October 10th, a lot of people tried to explain why crypto is declining. It's the quantum risk to Bitcoin, crypto winter starting. I have so many traditional investors telling me that's the only reason. They say, "Tom, it's the 4-year cycle." Of course, we had the October 10th liquidation event, the biggest liquidation in history. A lot of people say it's the AI stocks have captured mind share. MicroStrategy recently said they might sell their Bitcoin. That scared some people. MSCI may exclude digital asset treasuries from indexes. And of course, Tether got a ratings downgrade. So maybe some of these could explain why crypto's down. But just keep in mind, crypto was up 36% until October 10th, and then it's gone straight down. I personally think it has a lot to do with deleveraging. And as you know, after the FTX collapse, it did take 8 weeks before market makers recovered and crypto could start to see price discovery again. And we're basically 7.5 weeks past that event. Now, Bitmoin made a decision about 5 weeks ago to engage Tom DeMark because we wanted to understand what was happening with crypto prices. Now, if you don't know who Tom DeMark is, he's a legendary market timer. At Fundstrat, I've used him to call 2 of the major market lows, the March 2020 low and the April tariff lows. Those were all in coordination and consultation with Tom DeMark. And Tom only has 2 clients today. We're his second client, and he's very expensive, actually. Tom has advised us to dramatically slow our Ethereum purchases. And as you can see here, once we engaged Tom, we took a different strategy with regard to our Ethereum purchasing. And you can see our Ethereum purchases fell by half to 50,000 a week. But we've begun to buy Ethereum again. You can see last week we bought almost 100,000 ETH, twice what we did 2 weeks before. And I will give you a hint, we definitely bought more than that this week because we believe Ethereum prices have actually bottomed. So we're bullish on Ethereum. But let's go back to the 4-year price cycle for Bitcoin because it's still hard to escape this chart. 3 of 3 times since the history of Bitcoin, the 4-year cycle, or 3.91 years, exactly called the top and the lows. So the question is, why is Bitcoin subject to a 4-year cycle? We asked the Fundstrat digital assets team to give us the 5 most logical reasons for this. There's the halvening cycle, there's monetary policy, margin debt. But the 2 things that I think have actually become more important in our view is gold versus copper, and then the ISM, which is just your traditional economic business cycle. So let me explain. So the halving could explain Bitcoin because the halving is pre-computed, but the problem with the halving cycle explaining Bitcoin's price is that there's a lot of other things that have a 4-year cycle. Presidential elections, Olympics, World Cup, etc. But there are some things that follow a 4-year price cycle that no longer follow a 4-year price cycle. And one of them is copper versus gold. And in the past, you can see it had a predictable 4-year cycle, except this time. And if you line it up with Bitcoin and copper, they actually line up almost perfectly. But copper and gold are not in a 4-year cycle now because that ratio should have peaked this year. Similarly, is ISM. ISM is a measure of US economic activity, and historically that had a 4-year cycle. But as you can see, the ISM is not following a 4-year cycle today. It's actually stayed below 50 for almost 3.5 years. If you line up the ISM to Bitcoin, you can see it almost perfectly explained every Bitcoin cycle, including the original Bitcoin price peak. So it's even more explanatory than the 4-year cycle. But again, this time the ISM is not peaking. So here's the question I'd ask you. If the industrial cycle is no longer following a 4-year cycle, and copper gold isn't following a 4-year cycle, I'm going to say I don't know if Bitcoin should follow a 4-year cycle. So I'm not in the camp that Bitcoin price has peaked. And the only way we'll know is if we make new highs in January, which is our bet.